Hello everyone and welcome back to Chart Power at the Breck Advisory. It's been a while since I've done a longer form video, but there's a lot going on in the markets these days and I wanted to go a little deeper. So I'm going to be taking a look at chainlink today. It's it's maybe my favorite coin, although it obviously hasn't been performing that well lately. And I'm going to show you a few different ways to look at chainlink right now, and they're not all good, but they're not all bad either. And the funny thing is, so my point in saying it may be my favorite coin is because I want you to know I'm coming at this as a fan. I'm not trying to knock Chainlink, certainly not. I really want to see Chainlink perform really well, but it's also important to be really clear and really realistic when you are investing and trading. So that means you have to look at the data that isn't necessarily fun to look at also. It'd be really easy to just pick a coin and say it's going to the moon and, like and subscribe, and those kind of videos do really well. But I think it's really important to have a balanced voice and offer a balanced opinion on YouTube, because you just don't see that a lot. And people, other YouTubers, there's a lot of incentive to hype things up and be hyperbolic and get people energized, because those kinds of videos just get more likes and views. But when it comes time for the markets to take a downturn, it's going to be really important that you listen to a lot of different voices. And I hope that you find value in me keeping it real. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to start taking a look here. Let's take a look at what Chainlink is doing. And here's why I gave that huge run up and that huge disclaimer, is because Chainlink is higher than it's been. This is just the Chainlink dollar chart. So, it's obviously it's not horrible. It's down quite a bit from its peak, but it has come back up a little bit. But really my big concern is the Chainlink BTC chart valuation, which shows that for the longest time here, Chainlink was doing so well against Bitcoin, which meant, if you put your money in Chainlink instead of Bitcoin, you were doing really well and you're doing really happy, and you were really happy. So then it hit this peak against Bitcoin, and that was when Link hit a price of about $50, and I mean it's just never recovered from that. When it started hitting this trend line again from the other side, I was relatively happy, because if it trends like this from the other side, it's still an uptrend and looking pretty good. But obviously it hasn't held up with that either, and it just keeps looking weaker and weaker. Now I have this purple line on the chart here, which can look like support, but I like it's finding support, but I actually think that that's not really what's going on there, because a seemingly much better way of chopping up this later data here, let's remove that line, and you would actually find this to be much more relevant. You have all of these touch points here from this side, and then it's doing it from the other side again, just like the previous trend line, but now it's even falling off from that and heading lower. And all of this on this chart is to say that at this point, well, at least from here, your money would have been much better off in Bitcoin instead of Chainlink. But I don't want it all in Bitcoin because I like Chainlink and I think it's such an important technology that I'm willing to stick with it. And we're just looking for a turnaround, but the problem is I'm just not seeing much of a turnaround point. I'm going to put that purple line back on here for 1 second, and because maybe this will end up being support, but the reason why I don't think it's that great is because, well, I mean, it broke through here and back on this side, it wasn't finding support there at all. So Chainlink versus Bitcoin, it's not looking great. I mean, Bitcoin is on a tear and maybe it'll slow down and Link will catch up, but a lot of the alts have been keeping up much better than Chainlink. And honestly, I don't understand it. As a Chainlink fan, and a fan of the technology, I would really expect it to do better, and it's just not. But let's see if we can find some good news, all right? That's why this is another good and bad video, because, well, I covered the bad in the link Bitcoin valuation, but this is just chainlink versus the dollar. And I think what's incredibly interesting here is how it's so almost technically a perfect chart. It flipped this resistance level here into support here a bunch of times, and that was at $1.50. And then it found resistance here at about $5 and some change, and broke through there. And when it did, look, it didn't even come back to it. That's how much strength it had. But then it found again resistance at a 20 and broke through it, and it came back below 20, but stuck to this trend line, which is pretty good. It's been holding up. It's been technically holding up well. So again, we hit this level of $50. Now, on this top purple line, we don't have any other data points to compare it to, but I put that purple line there as a level that we definitely want to flip. Okay, so let's say that this overall trend channel that it's been in and has been holding for a long time. I mean, look, we're going back to at the end of 2018. So this trend channel has been holding up nicely for a very long time. And if it were to continue, that means that it isn't really going to necessarily go any lower than this. And of course, the broader markets are heading higher. So it would be great to see if it can get through that resistance point, just like it has all of these others, and continue higher. Now, we can see that it has hit this top channel 3 times now. So what happens when it returns to that top channel? Well, here's where I'm going to find some of that good news for us. I made a previous video using some data to determine that chainlink would hit $140 on its current bull run. And you know, a couple of years ago, a year ago, I suppose, that would have seemed kind of low. And even when I made that video, I thought I was being pretty conservative. But with how the price has stayed down quite a bit, now I'm kind of thinking like, hey, if chainlink hits 140, I think I'll probably be pretty happy at this point. Okay, but what I want to do is I'm going to take this the last time that it went from the top of the channel to the top of the channel, that is 38 days, I'm sorry, 38 weeks. But actually, let me go ahead and copy the pattern here. So I'm going to go from the top, from peak to peak, from the last time it hit the top of the channel to the previous time it hit the top of the channel. Okay, so let's say it does something similar to that again. How long will it take, and where will it hit the top of the channel again, as it has done several times in the past? Okay, that's why we're doing this. So even though it's not looking that strong against Bitcoin, the dollar price can still go up plenty. Again, maybe that money would do better in Bitcoin, or maybe this will be the support level and will turn around. It's just there's not a lot of turnaround data right now in the chart. Just the last hope we have is that this level will hold here, and that maybe Bitcoin, when Bitcoin takes a little bit of a break, chainlink can start catching up. And when it does catch up, what do we end up with? Well, we end up with a price of, this is right about $145, right around the 140 that I came up with last time using different data. So here is kind of another data point saying that we should reach about $140 somewhere around the end of the year. This timing isn't going to be perfect, because if you just shift this around, actually, let me get this just perfectly right, as perfect as I can here. You're going to end up with, once again, I've arrived at roughly $140, $145 around the end of the year. So this is really, if you look at it on this chart, this is the logarithmic dollar chainlink chart. It's really been working like clockwork, maybe not as fast or as high or as crazy as some of us chainlink fans would have liked, but in all, I just say, hey, you know, if you own some Bitcoin, you can just be happy that that price is appreciating so nicely. And if you own some Chainlink along with it, can, I think, look forward to, even if it's not going to be one of the best performers, maybe it can still be one of the most steady performers. And maybe we can turn it around and start playing catch up and really get going as we get closer to the end of the year. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's the good news that I find in Chainlink, and I hope that assessment really helped you guys out. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to catch videos like this in the future. And also give it a thumbs up if you can, because that really helps the channel out. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.